Hey YouTube, welcome back to our channel. My name is Elena.
And I'm Bjorn.
And we are Viking Age reenactors and living historians here to talk with you about your favorite Viking shows.
Today we're going to be taking a look at episode 12 of Vinland Saga. If you haven't been following along, we've actually been streaming these live on our Twitch channel every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Take a look at that. At the time of this video coming out, we're actually going to be wrapping up and filming the last episode. So if you want the live reactions to that, please come check us out on our Twitch and hang out with us and get to know everybody and hang out in the chat. It's a lot of fun.
Alright, I have questions. I know we are generally here to answer questions and talk about what we know about, but sometimes we have questions too.
Sometimes there's questions that we don't have the answer to, which is, in this particular case, why do the Welsh look like Romans?
Yeah, and the ship design was the one thing that caught my eye too, aside from how he was dressed.
That it's a trireme.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Just common Mediterranean. Phoenicians used them. And they were like famous for having those like painted eyes and faces and everything around the prows and all that stuff too. But yeah, they were used all throughout like the Balkans this time by the Phoenicians and Greeks and Romans. I thought it was a Greek design, but that's just me.
I'm pretty sure Romans used them too.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm still reeling from that. The dude looked like a first century Roman general. Like,
I was gonna say he looked like a relic.
He did. I understand wanting to depict the Welsh differently and make them stand out, but why that? Why do that? Like, I feel like even Last Kingdom did it better.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, the Welsh are kind of described a lot of the times as being these like proud men who don't need nobody to protect them, basically. And the Last Kingdom actually did that really, really well. So yeah, I guess like to your point, I can see them trying to discern them from the English, but at the same time, they wouldn't look like Romans.
What they covered in that quick synopsis and everything was fairly spot on. And the general sense is that like they were very like self-serving. They were very like autonomous, you know, and they kind of like kept out of the English shit, and they wanted the English to leave them the alone. You know, there wasn't a ton of overlap in that. You don't really see it too often. Of course, there are exceptions and everything like that. But in general, I mean, they wouldn't really look that different from the rest of England. You know, from the rest of the people dressing there. They might have certain different customs or certain favorite colors or like styles and stuff, but they wouldn't be that separate.
Yeah, exactly.
It mostly the biggest tell would be their dialect. Obviously, the language that they speak. The whole thing with Artorius at the end, I didn't know that there was a Roman general in Britain named that. I immediately assumed it was a romanization of the legend of King Arthur, as he was a Welsh legendary figure, and is supposed to unite Britannia and everything. Plus, with the sword in stone is pretty. It's iconic.
Arthur, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Artorius in that sense was like his not his anglicized, but his like Latinized name, essentially. Just kind of showing that older loyalty. I feel like the episode went by wicked quickly.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton to like really dig into in there. The only other thing that I kind of wrote down just for the sake of writing something down is something that we've talked about, and that is the reason why people back in those days wanted a Viking, basically. And that kind of stemmed from the conversation that they were having as they were on the road, where they were talking about all the different things that they wanted to get from the king, whether it was like gold or, other types of wealth that they wanted to accumulate from the trip that they were undertaking, basically. And that was a pretty significant reason why people went raiding. Back in those days, whether they got the wealth from the king or from the raids. Obviously, in this case, we have an army that is in service to a king, so they're hoping to be able to get wealth out of it, and they're expecting wealth out of it for doing that service.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, aside from that, I didn't really have too much else to like really add to it, except for that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, those are all like legitimate reasons to go a Viking, to go raiding and stuff. I guess except for the love thing. I don't know what that was about.
Yeah, that kind of confused me.
Anyways, yeah, the only other thing that really caught my eye was Knut's fascination with the hawk. I'll have to look in to see if there's any stories about him with a hawk. I don't know. It just seemed like a really random extrapolation. It did remind me of the story of the Slavic leader Olga, who like captured birds to use them to set a town on fire. And I was thinking maybe they might be going that route, but I doubt it at this point since they didn't capture the bird.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them because they've already used one of Oleg's stories, so they might be looking into some of the Slavic chronicles.
Yeah, if they start to legitimately capture birds, then I'll run back to it. Is it actually Knut, or is it a lady girl?
I think it is because
I don't know.
They didn't say it was a she, so it's a he. And no one is saying that he is an imposter. They're still protecting him, basically.
Yeah, they're still sold on the idea of it.
He's basically playing the role of this prince that won't lift a sword or do anything for himself. He's just kind of there, and then he has advisors and other people just protecting him and ferrying him across the land.
Yeah, which, like, hey, not a bad gig to have. Hold it down, man. Like, keep doing it. But
I am like legitimately curious now what's going on with him and what we're gonna learn about Sweyn. Once we actually get there, I guess. I feel like they might be setting us up for something that is not at all in the stories in that respect.
Are you talking about Kevin Sweyn?
Yeah, king? I'm talking about Kevin Sweyn.
The King of Denmark, Kevin Sweyn? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, because Sweyn Forkbeard is not a character that just sits around passively and does nothing.
No, not at all.
He got his own father excommunicated, basically.
Yeah, and neither was Knut either. Knut went out, like, they kept trying to top each other. He went out and became King of England by force. You know, he wasn't this, like, wimpy, cowardly dude, at least in adulthood. As far as we know, he wasn't. I don't know about his childhood and his infancy and stuff. But, I mean, he was, like, a great leader. Maybe because of Thorkel. Who knows how they're going to spin it. So I'm waiting for him to come into his own with this.
That's actually a good point. Maybe we're seeing Knut sort of in his infancy, but before he becomes like the Knut the Great that we know. Yeah. Maybe this is just like his start, and then as he kind of gets ferried around, and maybe it's because of Thorfinn, honestly, because it does seem like they might kind of grow a friendship out of their...
They're the same age. Ooh.
Well, did you see the looks that they were giving each other?
They're gonna fall in love.
Sometimes when we meet these historic characters in TV shows, we immediately start assessing their mind frame and exactly how they think and what they do comparative to their historical counterparts.
Yeah. And
sometimes it does not match in the least. So the initial reaction is to go, well, that's not the character that we read about. Yeah. But that is a very good point, because a lot of these characters have their character arcs and they have to grow and they have to learn and they have to kind of... They didn't pop out of the womb being the same characters that we read about in the sagas.
What?
You know?
They didn't pop out of the womb being some 40-year-old brick shithouse? What? Weird. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I am curious to see how they... I'm curious to see what they end up doing with this character in the next 10 episodes or so that we have left to watch.
Absolutely. I don't know what the scene was with the dude at the ships who watched like the one person like being like the slave. What was that?
Yeah, that kind of confused me. The only thing that I could think of, I don't know who the old man was, but he might have thought that the kid that was being enslaved was Thorfinn.
Right?
But I don't know exactly where that's leading. I'm assuming we're going to catch up with that storyline next time. It didn't give us any information about where that was taking place.
Yeah.
And I think that's what confused me the most, because I'm trying to like keep up with who is in England, who is in now Wales, who's in Denmark. Like, where are we basically? We're all over the map.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. So, I'm glad we're both simultaneously not making sense of that.
Yeah, I think that's basically all we have. This last episode was a little bit
It was pretty quick.
Yeah.
It was
has a little bit less for us to talk about.
Yeah, it was
a
lot of walking.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified of our future videos. And we'll see you in the next one.